Today is Tuesday, May 19th, and welcome to the In the Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Kane White. End of May, last week of school is finally here. The first full year of mine at Hoxie Public Schools is coming to an end, and I'm ready for year two and beyond at Hoxie. I tell you what. Some amazing people there. I've been super blessed in my now 8-year educational and coaching career to work at some amazing school districts, Mark Tree, Manila, Waldron, and now Hoxie. Places that have treated me so great, but the people at Hoxie are truly special. I've made so many new friends there and taught some amazing young student athletes, and just enjoying my time at Hoxie Public Schools and the first full year being under my belt. I'm just ready to hop into year two. It's just a blessing to be able to work alongside some amazing people, and Tom Sears and Cole Sears, Austin Williams, Gunnar Cook, Jeremy Palmer, Robert Cullum, Trevor Shaver. Just some amazing coaches that I work with, some amazing teachers. My man Nick Bean, the head basketball coach there, ready to hop into basketball season with him next year. It's just a really cool environment, and it's a place that I'm enjoying so much, and finally found a home, a place that just fits just right. And so ready for year two at Hoxie. We also wrapped up spring ball this week. I'm ready to see those Mustangs in action on Friday nights in the fall, man. Those young men are so bought into what we're doing and what we're teaching them, and they just bring it every single day. We're young. We got a bunch of sophomores that are super invested and played on that really good junior high team we had last year. And we got some great senior leaders and some juniors mixed in that have some good experience under their belt from last year. But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than the competitiveness they have, and it's bigger than the ability they have. It's just a joy to be around those young men on a daily basis. They're so much fun to coach and to build relationships with them and teach them things they don't know. And when that light bulb goes off in their head, and they see that they can accomplish something they didn't know they could, it's just super cool. And man, just ready to get after it in the fall. I'm excited for the summer. I'm excited for a break. Every teacher in America is, right. Every teacher's tired at this point in the year, but man, I'm ready to get the summer going too, and get into the weight room some more with those guys, and go to some pad camps and some 7-on-7s, and continue to build what we have in the spring, and just ready for August to see those guys compete against somebody else. They've been beating on each other in spring ball, some physical practices, ready to see them compete against someone else. But like I said, I'm ready for the summer, ready for the break, but also ready to get it back cranked up in the same breath. I know that sounds kind of contradictory, but that's the case in my opinion. Ready to see those guys get after it in this 2026 high school football season. Now that it is summertime, now that you take that big breath and you don't have as long of days, got a lot planned, outside of the work life. A lot of golf, a lot of baseball, a lot of travel, and a lot of podcasting is on the horizon this summer. I feel like I've got a really good plan for some really cool stuff. Talking about golf, and here's the deal. I grew up at the Truman Country Club. Could literally walk out my front door, across my grandparents' front yard, and step foot onto the driving range. I can't tell you how many times my little brother and I walked down to that driving range barefooted growing up, and just would swing a 7-iron, as many golf balls out there as we could, as the sun would go down in the summers. Played so many times out there growing up. I'm not the world's best golfer. I'm never going on the PGA Tour. I'm never going to win any local tournaments or anything like that. But something in me has just I've picked up the golf itch in the past 2 or 3 years, and been playing quite a bit. And we've talked about that in previous episodes. Played like over 500 holes or something like that last summer. I'm going to try to break that this summer, already working towards it. But last weekend, our family from Texarkana came up. My sister-in-law, Natalie, her husband, Malachi, and our little nephew, Barrett, they came up for my other sister-in-law, Braylee's graduation party. Shout out to my sister-in-law, Braylee, for graduating nursing school. But they came up for a little graduation party, and me and my brother-in-law, Malachi, we played right out here at Manila, a little 18 holes before we boiled some crawfish. And I made my first ever personal eagle. And boy, was I proud of that. I mean, if you're a golfer out there, you may have already had 15, 20 eagles by now, but I've only birdied a hole by myself, I think 9 times in my life, but I got that first ever eagle and didn't really see it coming. That was not on my bingo card for the day by any means. It wasn't even a goal of mine for that round, but it just happened. About a 275-yard drive off the box. I missed the fairway right. Pretty bad, actually, but it's a dog leg left, par 5. And so I had about 202 yards in to the green and number 7 at Manila, if you ever played it. It's a shorter par 5, dog leg left, 2 bunkers in front of the green, which makes it play kind of tough, and a tree line that kind of guards that dog leg. And I'm terrible with long irons, 3-iron, 4-iron, 5-iron. Fairway wood, fairway hybrid. I'm just terrible with them. I'll be honest with you. And I take out that 4-iron, just trying to push it down the fairway as best as I can. And I hit a ball flush, low stinger, with a bit of a draw, hops in front of the green, in between the 2 bunkers, pops straight up, about an 18-foot eagle putt, and I drained that thing. And I think they heard me at the Missouri state line as loud as I screamed. I was pretty excited. Kept the golf ball from it, just for memories, and so I'm going to keep it right there in the foreground of the podcast. And so that was pretty cool. Played pretty bad the rest of the day, but that was a highlight for sure. And then this most recent weekend, played 27 holes at Cherokee Village with my good buddy Cole Sears. That's my golf partner, man. That's my guy. We go on the world tour in the summers, and we really enjoyed. We played 9 holes at the South Course at Cherokee Village, and then 18 at the North Course. The 18th hole, the 10th hole at the North Course at Cherokee Village, Arkansas, is the most scenic golf hole I've ever played. Your tee shot, you quite literally hit over the Spring River, which is a beautiful river that runs through the state of Arkansas. Your tee shot goes over the fairway and over the Spring River. And so that's such a cool scenic hole. And we really enjoy that North Course there at Cherokee Village. Check it out sometime if you're a golf enthusiast in Northeast Arkansas. Really, both the South and the North Course there at Cherokee Village are diamonds in the rough, in my opinion. Also got a lot of baseball on the horizon this summer. This past weekend, the day before I played the 27 holes of golf at Cherokee Village, went up and watched the Cardinals play. Went up and watched the boys and the birds on the bat play in the Lou. The Cardinals are hot. I'm here to say it. The Cardinals are hot. I'm invested. I'm a believer. The tarps are off. If you've seen that, the tarps are off in the right field terrace. People, waving their T-shirts over their heads, going crazy. That group of guys that has got that going, that energy in that ballpark was unbelievable last Saturday. And that was Friday night when that tarps off thing started. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. There's this group of guys from Stephen F. Austin. I believe they play on the club baseball team there. They went to a Cardinals game and sat in a section and took their shirts off and waved them over their heads. And they got the energy flowing in the ballpark on Friday night. Ollie Marmol, the Cardinals manager, paid for their tickets on Saturday. And so on Saturday, we got to see those guys in action, bringing some energy to the ballpark. And it was pretty cool. That's one of those organic things that just happens naturally and picks up steam. It's kind of rare nowadays with social media, but some organic energy was really cool to see. I think it's going to be really fun to watch the Cardinals this summer. It's going to be even more fun to go to a game at Busch Stadium. So if you get a chance, if you like the Cardinals, if you just like baseball, if you want to go watch a good MLB game, I feel like the energy in Busch Stadium is going to be second to none this summer. That game, just being there, and the Cardinals got a 4-2 win over the Kansas City Royals. It really rejuvenated my Cardinals fandom. I've been a Cardinals fan since I could walk. That's all I've known is to be a Cardinals fan. My grandfathers and my father and everybody in my hometown. You're a Cardinals fan. You're only 3 hours from St. Louis in Northeast Arkansas, and so it's just who you watch. And recently I just haven't really watched them as much. I'll never turn my back on them. I'm not going to do that. And but it really rejuvenated my Cardinals fandom. It gave me a shot in the arm, if you will. I definitely plan on going to Busch Stadium quite a few more times this summer. Got this sweet little Stan Musial bobblehead here in his Navy uniform, and so that was pretty cool. Stan Musial, baseball's perfect night, the best St. Louis Cardinal of all time, 24-time All-Star in 24 seasons, perfect 24 for 24, and served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. R.I.P. Stan Musial, you're a legend. But that's a pretty cool little bobblehead they gave away at the game we went to. So with the Cardinals games that I plan on going to, also going to do some more travel this summer. Going to hit the beach. Going to hit Miramar, Florida. And so if you know of any golf courses down in Miramar that are nice, shoot them my way. I need recommendations or cool places to go around the Miramar, Destin area. Golf courses, cool stuff to do. Shoot them my way. Got the whole family going down there. And so which obviously we're just going to enjoy each other's company, but golf is definitely on the docket when we go to Miramar. We're going to hit the Prairie Dirt Classic in Fairbury, Illinois again this year for the second year in a row. Not going to miss that race for the rest of my life if I can help it. Had a great time up there last year and going to hit that up again. Of course, the Topless 100, which is coming up in August. Dirt late model is racing is my thing. Hopefully I have on a dirt late model guest very soon. I just love going to those races and seeing the side by side racing and got a lot of buddies that do it as well. And so I love to watch those guys compete. But yeah, we'll be hitting up the Prairie Dirt Classic and the Topless 100 this summer as well. Here in a couple of weeks, going to the Nashville Rodeo on May 29th with my dad. Not a huge rodeo guy, but we're going to go watch a little concert after too. Like going to Nashville just because my country music love. So going to have a little trip with my dad. We go on these fly trips all the time, and my dad will be on this podcast at some point, but Greg White can tell a story better than anybody on this earth. And we've had so many quick trips to St. Louis, to Nashville, to Dallas that we've done together. And that's kind of our thing. And so ready to have one of those with my dad here in a couple of weeks. And I'm telling you, whenever that man comes on the podcast, it'll be a must listen just to hear him tell a story. He's a legend for sure. And then got a lot of podcast, news and stuff on the horizon. I'm going to take some big swings on some guests. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to ask some pretty big time guests to come on this podcast. And, the goal of this podcast is not to have the biggest, best guests of all time. Does that help? Of course. I mean, we all want to hear great stories from people that have done amazing things, but got some guests on my list that I'm going to try to contact and take a swing on. And, but also local too, right? That's the the roots of this podcast is starting in Northeast Arkansas. Got some local people that I'm excited to have on as well. And then we've got merch May 26th. That's here. It's on the way. It'll be here May 26th. It'll be available. A few different shirt options, a couple different hat options. So keep your eyes peeled. That's very limited quantity on those items. And so be ready for it and make sure to shoot me a message or comment when those come available so you can get your hands on some In the Huddle merchandise. But to the most important part of the episode, I've been rambling. Episode 21. Today's guest, an absolute football coaching legend in the state of Arkansas. He's a Conway, Arkansas native. He spent 5 years on staff at the University of Arkansas as a student assistant and as a graduate assistant. He is now the running backs coach at the University of Central Arkansas in his hometown of Conway, Arkansas. How cool. He was my roommate at the University of Arkansas when we were coaching there together. Most of all, he's a very, very good friend. Can't wait to have this conversation with him. Time to get in the huddle with Coach Will Kennedy. Man, since the 2024 Liberty Bowl, it's only the second time we've seen each other, and one of them was at your wedding. But we spent so much time together at the University of Arkansas, we kind of just always pick up right where we left off.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's one of the things in coaching that you don't really realize until you're in it is when you spend so much time with someone every single day and you really go through like the dog days with them. Like when you reconnect in a year, 2 years, there's people I haven't seen in probably 4 years. When you get back with them, it's like nothing changed. You know,
Right.
it's just the way the business goes. And so like for me, it's just so cool to have so many different friends out there all over the country doing
Yeah.
what they love in coaching. And I mean, you're example A right there, man. When we got together up there, man, it just became friendship. It was awesome.
And it was even deeper for me and you. We would be at the office together, and then we'd go to the same house together since we lived together. So it was even deeper.
Yeah, man. The GA house. It was you, me, Dylan, Hop. Man, we had a good crew.
If you ever came and visited us and hung out at the GA house after an Arkansas Razorback win, there were some fun times had.
Oh my gosh, those were the best. And then when you lost a close game, you could go over there and you would have thought somebody had died. We were just sitting on the couch miserable.
We put so much into it throughout the week, man. I mean, I think I would. It was nothing to log 90 hours. And when you lose a close one, like we did a few times that season, boy, those sting different.
It's just it's just the nature of the beast. I think of being a GA is like you don't really realize it. You just put so many hours into it. Because you can really say like, okay, we're gonna play today. We're gonna play LSU, and you think that week is the only week you work on LSU. Oh no, you had already worked on them in the summer. You worked on them the week before, the week of, and then so losing a game like that, it just stings so bad because of just how much time and effort you put into one opponent. It's just
Right.
pretty brutal.
We worked on them so much we know who the coaches' kids' names were, their
Oh yeah.
father-in-laws. You do deep dives, man. It's really different. But man, I wouldn't trade that time for anything. It was special for me because of the people like
Oh
you and
yeah.
everybody in that office.
Man, we it, we had, especially when you were there, man. We just had a special group.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely believe this in my heart, and it's starting to come true. Like it's people that I invited to my wedding.
Right.
It felt like we were a family.
It did.
And we went through good times together and we celebrated them. We went through hard times and we were there
Hmm.
for each other. You see people get jobs and you're happy for them. You see people. It is what it is. You see people lose jobs and you pray for them.
Of
It's
course.
just it's the nature of the business. And man, we had a special group together there for that 2024 season, and it was
Yes,
one
we
of the
did.
most fun times of my life.
Completely agree, and we'll revisit that here later on. But I'm here with my guest, Will Kennedy. He's the running backs coach at the University of Central Arkansas. We spent every day for 10 straight months together in our time on staff at the U of A. We were roommates. We kind of just already hit on that. But, one of the core things that comes to my mind about that 24 season, of the 20 plus full time coaches on that staff at the University of Arkansas, you and I were the only two born and raised in Arkansas. Like, so we had a little bit of a bigger sense of pride, not necessarily a bigger sense of pride, but we were really putting our best foot forward for our home state.
Yeah, man. I that's one of the things that when I was up there, I didn't even realize that. Like that was something
Right.
that really never crossed my mind. Is because to be honest with you, before you were there, I might have been the only one from Arkansas.
You're probably right.
And so that was just something that never crossed my mind. But man, you're right. Like it just kind of gives you a little extra pride because we
Yeah,
had our families back at home cheering for Arkansas.
exactly.
When you go with your buddies, they're coming to the game because they love it. And so for us, it almost does kind of mean just a little more, just a little bit.
Right, absolutely. And, when you see that Arkansas flag run out, down there on Saturdays, like that's what kind of gave me the chills. Knowing like, wow, I'm like for the first time maybe in my life, like I truly felt like I was a part of something way bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool feeling.
It was, for me, to be honest with you, I kind of grew up a Razorback fan. It's not really a secret.
Right.
I grew up. My grandma always had season tickets to the games. And so I grew up going to games when they would play in Little Rock. I remember going to those games and tailgating outside and doing all the different things. And so the first game, as a student, it kind of hit me hard. But the first game as a GA, when you really put those hours into it, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you really kind of have to take a step back and look around and really just be thankful.
of course.
Just just an awesome feeling. It really was. As much as and I'm sure we'll talk about this too. As much as sometimes you don't like it, like the
Right?
work that goes into it, you really do have to be thankful for the opportunity you've been given.
Yeah, no doubt. And who would have ever thought that a Truman Wildcat and a Conway Wampus Cat would be
Yeah,
on the same staff together at the
yeah.
University of Arkansas? I think
Oh
about
yeah,
that all the time.
yeah, man.
So,
Wampus Cat, Wildcat, Truman. I was up in Truman's neck of the woods today, actually recruiting. So just got done with
that's
that.
awesome.
So yeah, I was up in your neck of the woods.
Hey, the 870, you got to rep it. So let's talk about how you got to that point of going from a student assistant to a GA, because actually, really, in our time together, we never really talked about that. So you know, being a full time coach of the SEC, how that path look like getting there after high school?
So when I was in high school, I had, Division three is kind of a different animal, but I had an offer to play football and baseball at Hendrix here
Okay,
in Conway. And I was gonna do it. I was dead set. I wanted to keep playing football. Loved baseball. Wanted to keep playing baseball. And then I ran into an opportunity with SJ Tui, which
okay,
some people will know him as now he's the athletic director at ULM, but I knew him
yes,
from the guy that was on the blind side. He's the
that's
brother
right.
but he got in contact with me about doing some student assistant work. And so that kind of
Okay,
I knew I wanted to be in coaching, and it was just too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. So I went there, worked in recruiting for a year,
okay,
and then Jeff Traylor, who is now the head football coach at UTSA, offered me,
Roadrunners.
offered me a job as the running back student assistant. Worked for him for a year, was awesome, learned so much. He's a great dude. Like if you ever get to know him, he's salt of the earth human being. He really is. And then Coach Pittman gets hired, and then I go talk to Jimmy Smith, who's now
Okay,
the running back coach at Georgia Tech. And so worked for Jimmy Smith for 3 years. I mean, have nothing but great things to say about that. I mean, that's my mentor, honestly, in college
awesome.
football. I love the guy. And then so I graduate and I'm kind of looking for jobs. Okay. Barry Odom called me and hired me or wanted to hire me as a GA at UNLV. And
Okay,
so I was actually going to go to UNLV. And then 2 days later, Coach Pittman brings me in his office and offers me the GA job at Arkansas. And it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. I was already living in Fayetteville.
of
My
course.
my girlfriend was living there. I wasn't going to have to move across the country. And so, yeah, that's really kind of how it happened. I called Coach Odom, told him what was going on. He's like, "Will, I absolutely understand it. There's no hard feelings." And so, yeah, it's just honestly, man, it just God's timing. Just
That's
to be honest
absolutely,
with you, it's just you think about me having to move across the country, which I will have to do at some point in my coaching journey. I understand that. I know what I'm getting into.
of
But
course.
to just go from, I didn't have to move. My family was still there. They could come see me. I was getting close to proposing. Just everything was just right place, right time.
Man, that's awesome. And I've talked about that so much on this podcast. So much of my life, or all of my life, has been God's timing. I mean, you know, people are saying, why would you leave your home area to go to Waldron, Arkansas to be a head football coach of a struggling program? And then and that's what got me to where I was right there with the University of Arkansas. If I don't go to Waldron, that doesn't happen, and that's all God. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it all goes back to. And his timing's always perfect. And so and that's such a great story of you ride it out through being a student assistant, and that's not easy work either.
No.
Not as much as being a GA. But and then God's timing keeping you right there at home, and you get to pretty much live your dream. I would assume that you grew up a Hog fan. Now you get to actually be a full timer. That's super cool.
It really was. And, like, one thing my dad always told me, because my dad was a high school football coach in Conway for 30 years. And one thing he always told me is, man, just make yourself valuable. Be the first one
Of
in the
course,
door, be the last one out of the door. And, I think early on I didn't buy into that as much, but as I kind of got older, I really started to realize, like, man, do the stuff that, like, other people don't want to do. Be the guy to make the cut ups, be the guy to input the data, make the practice scripts, the things that people don't want to do those, and that just
right,
adds value to yourself as a coach.
right. Be the guy to load the coolers at the recruiting events, like we
That's
did
right.
multiple
Yeah, yeah,
times.
yeah.
That's the good stuff, man. So during your time as a graduate assistant, you work under Coach Bryles, Coach Enos, Coach Petrino. What are some of the main things that they taught you and that you took with you to your own room at UCA?
Yeah, I think number one is, man, the importance of just being honest. You know, I think that the way college football is kind of going, you can't really sugarcoat anything anymore.
You can't.
Because it's just the nature of the beast. If you're known as a guy that's going to sugarcoat or you're just trying to make people happy, it's really not going to be successful. So, one thing I really learned is, man, you just got to be really honest. If a guy's competing for the starting job, man, tell him. If a
Right,
guy just needs to keep developing in the weight room, tell him. Whatever every situation is different, but you really just got to be honest. And then,
right.
another one is just, man, don't act like you know everything. There's multiple ways to do things in football, whether it's calling plays, whether it's just the organization of practice. There's multiple ways to do it, and do it at a very high level. And so just be a
Of course.
sponge. And I think that is said a lot, but it's so true, man. Just always, three offensive coordinators I've worked for, while I was up there as a GA, and, man, all of them were different in their own ways, but
Of
all of
course.
them I took something very valuable as I went. So you just got to be a sponge.
Right. And that's what my mom always has told me is surround yourself with people who know more than you. So put yourself in rooms where you're not the smartest person in the room. And man,
Yeah.
we had those grand opportunities. I mean, not even the guys we were directly under in the offensive coordinators were named and me with Scott Fountain, but Travis Williams and Marcus Woodson, Coach Pittman. I mean, there's so many smart minds that have so much experience that have helped me along the way, and I've taken things from them. It was really cool to be able to surround ourselves with those people.
Yeah, it really was, and I'm kind of glad you said that, because I just remember, like, vaguely, just, Coach Woodson always walking into our office while we were in there working, and he would always give us, the word of the day, and give us, like,
Yes,
a little bit of, 10 minutes of where we could kind of relax, and he would just give us life knowledge. And
right.
to be honest with you, those guys up there, they've been doing it a long time. So that not only can they help you in football, they can help you be a better husband, a better father,
The things
not a
that
father,
that deeply
but
matter at the end of the day.
exactly. And so, it's not just in football that you can learn something from these guys. It's really in every aspect of your life.
It really is. There was something that Travis Williams said to me. He pulled me aside like week 2 of my time there, which that was in the middle of spring ball. We didn't have an analyst at the time. I'd never coached college ball, and so I was scrambling. I mean, you remember
Yeah.
that. I mean, I was drowning, and T. Will pulled me in and said, Coach Malzahn told me one time to be a magnet, be a person that people want to be around. That's what makes you successful in this business, and which he is. He is a prime example of a magnet. Everybody loves T. Will, and like he said, "You're a magnet, Kane. I've already been able to see that people want to be around you." And at the time, like I didn't know what I was going to be at the college level. I didn't know how I was going to change, and all I had to know is I just got to be myself. And that's what made it tolerable. Not saying tolerable, but allowed me to have some success at the college level and working with people. And so I tell my kids all the time, be a magnet, be somebody that people want to be around.
Man, yeah, and I've already said, but that's not just in football. That's in life. You know,
Absolutely.
if I wasn't a football coach and I was a chef, I would I you got to do it the same way. You know what I'm saying? Be a magnet to the best chef in the
That's
kitchen.
right.
Just that's just a good thing in life. But man, in football, it really is. And I like what you said there. Like, just be yourself. Don't be someone you're not, because at our head coach at UCA right now, Coach Brown, he says this all the time. College football can chew you up and spit it out if you let it.
If you let it, it can.
And
I was
so
I was almost there.
yeah, and so you just got to be yourself. Everybody's going to have their flaws and things they got to get better at. But man, if you're yourself, at least people know that you're not faking it. You're at least being real with it.
That's right, no doubt. So we talked about our sense of pride in coaching for our home state, and now you at UCA, you're not only coaching for your home state, you're coaching in your hometown. What kind of sense of pride do you feel being right there at home and coaching at the D1 level?
It has been it's been absolutely awesome. From the time I got here, I'm from Conway. Very proud of it. My dad still lives here. All my grandparents live here. My mom and dad have degrees. My dad actually won a national championship for the UCA football team in 1991.
Let's go. I had no clue about that.
Yeah, so man, when you really kind of step back and you look at all the great players and coaches that have come out of UCA, and I remember when I was little going to the games. It's just awesome, man, and yeah, I've loved every second of it. And what it really does is it makes me work harder, because so many people from around the community that played football at UCA.
Right.
I have so many of my dad's friends and people that coached me at Conway High School that coached at UCA. There's just so many connections that I have to that program that to be honest with you, didn't know I had until I got the job. It
Right.
really does, man. It just gives me a sense of pride of where I'm at and what I'm able to do.
Man, that's super cool, man. You're the prime example of being where your feet are and doing the best at what you're doing right now. And I know that's super cool to be able to put on for your hometown, man. What's the biggest difference in being a GA in the SEC and now running your own room? And for those out there, when I say running your own room, that's being a position coach, being the one in charge of that position group. So what's the biggest difference in being a GA and running your own room?
I mean, that's a good question. As a GA, you're going to be kind of doing a lot of the back office stuff. You're going to
Right.
be breaking down the opponent. You're going to be drawing the scout cards. You're going to be printing the scripts. You're going to kind of be doing a lot of the BS work, so to speak,
Of
and you're
course.
not really doing that as a position coach. You're going to do a little bit of it, but you're not going to do as much of it. So that would be probably number one. And number two is an obvious one. As a GA, you don't have to recruit. And so that's something that I've had to learn really how to do, how to go in a school and ask a coach, man, give me the guys who you think could be a UCA Bear. Or if you
Right.
go in there and, some schools, they're not going to have anybody for you. Man, make a connection. So when they do have one, that you've been in there, you've made that connection.
That's right.
Um, and then, the last one is now you're responsible for the guys in your room.
Of course.
Just, let's see, in the last year, I've had, a player where their grandma died, and
Oh man.
they went through the heartbreak of that. I've had one just recently get married, and
Cool.
then had another one in the last couple of weeks. They've had a baby, so there's a lot
Wow.
of emotional highs and lows And you just got to understand these guys are 18 to 22, 23 years old. Like, life's going to hit them the same way it hits us.
Of course.
They're going to have good times. They're going to have bad times. And you still got to make them go to class, do your homework, pay rent on time. You're just kind of trying to mentor them through this life of being a college athlete. So those three things.
That's awesome. A couple things that you made mention of. One, you talked about printing things off. How many times did us GAs race to the printer to get there first on practice days? It was like a
Well, yeah,
battle.
that I just remember one week we had two of them down. Do
Oh,
you remember that? And so we're at the
the
printer.
guy working on it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the ink exploded and he came in and he looked like a smurf. He had the blue all over his face.
And well, so yeah, that's awesome. And then I just remember talking to him one time. He worked for Xerox. I'll always remember he had that Xerox. And I'm like, man, they break down all the time. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful because you got the pressure of getting strips printed off. I'm frustrated. I'm like, well, what takes you so long? He's like,
What on
I
time
actually don't.
crunch?
I don't live here. I live remote. I live in Minnesota. I'm like, what are we doing?
That was a rough week, man. That was insane. We got it done though. We found a way.
Well, that's to be honest with you, and then for anybody listening that wants to become a coach, you figure out a way, some way, somehow, every single time. You might, I
Hey,
don't, there's been some crazy situations where you think it's impossible to get something done, but you find a way.
man, I remember I've had to hand draw them scout cards before, and
Oh yeah.
them white scout cards weren't too easy, and so man, you find a way to get it done. But another thing that I took away from what you said about the differences is you go to high schools and they might not even have a player that could be a UCAB right now, but you make that connection. Our business, we get to make so many connections, and I look at it as such a blessing. I get to meet so many people from so many different walks of life, and that become friends and or just acquaintances. But my Rolodex and my phone book gets bigger and bigger, and I really love that. I love making connections with new people.
Yeah, and that's something that I always knew that football is a very big connection based business. It really is. A lot of it is who you know. But
Right,
man, you make those connections by you got to branch out, and
of course,
in recruiting you have to. At the end of the
no doubt.
day, to be a college coach, you have to recruit. I have to walk in to schools in Northeast Arkansas, whether or not they have a player. But what I take away from it is all the good people that there are in the business. You
That's
cannot
right.
tell me that let's say I'm a random coach, I walk into Hoxie High School, I'm not going to make a friend in Kane White that will last for the next 15 years. It's just how it works. And so,
Absolutely.
man, connections in football are just so important. But it's it's just something that you'll always have, if that makes sense. I'm almost kind of at a loss for words, but like once I've met one coach one time, we always have that connection.
Of course, and I think that's just a testament to your personality, maybe mine too. We're just people. I
Yeah,
guess you could say.
yeah, yeah.
So, we've talked a little about Arkansas, we've talked a little about UCA, bit about your background, but I'm getting ready to wrap this thing up. I love telling a good story.
Oh
But let's
yeah.
take a trip down memory lane. In our office at U of A, we talked about the tight knit group of guys that we had that'll hold a special place in my heart forever. Guys like yourself, Chris Norris, Trey Fitch, Dylan Cruz, Miles Fishback, Tyrone Hopper, Armani Linton, our guy Foes. All those guys mean so much to me. But what's a core memory of yours from that office or that group of guys on or off the field that really sticks out to you?
Uh, but this is probably going to be one that you're not going to expect. But actually, when we were in there working, so on you'll
Like
remember this
Sundays, right? Like Sundays when we're all in there together.
on Sundays. Yeah, that exactly.
Oh,
So on Sundays, the way it was is so Sunday morning we're all in there and we break down the last game. So let's say
Right.
we played Tennessee, we beat Tennessee. You sit there and break down the Tennessee game. Well, then around lunch into about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, you kind of start switching it to the next opponent. Well, from
Right.
about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock to about 7:30, we're all in there together breaking down the next opponent. And so it was one of the few times we were actually all in the office at the same time. And
You're right.
man, we would sit in there, and don't get me wrong, we were, in my opinion, we were some of the hardest workers I've ever met in my life. We really
We're
were.
grinding.
But man, we would have just such a good time in there. We wouldn't even be talking about football. We'd just be talking about life. We'd be talking about what we're doing in 2 weeks. We're talking about, man, how's your girlfriend doing? Just things like that. It was just so much fun.
It really was, and like, and if you could picture this huge long room with two walls. It's a long room, but it's narrow. In I guess if that makes sense. And then just computers all along these walls, and everybody's locked into their computers, and we get 3 or 4 monitors per computer. And when you're breaking down film and you're inputting data and things like that, you can have sidebar conversations and stay locked in. And I just remember we'd be telling stories to each other, laughing at each other, and we're not even making eye contact. Like we're
Oh
across the
yeah,
room.
it'd be like you and me doing this podcast like this.
Oh yeah. Hey, we're just looking this way.
Yeah.
Hey Will. Hey Will, what's the ratio's mascot? We're just
Oh
we're
yeah.
not even looking at each other. Man, those were great times, and heck, and we talked about that bond. You talk about it was guys that were invited to your wedding that were there, and it was the same for me. And heck, my wedding was the week after the bowl game, and so that was it. It's like that. That was so fast at the ball game. It's like we hadn't really broke up yet. Like we were all still together because that happened
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah. Um, it,
Yeah,
it,
great
it
times.
really is. And I mean, you can't, it's hard to kind of put it into words, the bond you make with those guys that you really do. Like, man, college football is a grind. Like, people don't understand the hours and the time you put in on a day-to-day basis. You really can't understand it until you do it.
I
You can,
completely
like, I sit there and tell my parents all the time, man, that they had me up there working till 10 o'clock at night, and like it sounds bad, but you don't understand it until you're in it. And it's a high stress, high reward job, and so tensions are high, man. They are. They're high every single day. But we had such a good group, and you named them all, man. Like those are guys that are going to be friends for the rest of my life because you go through the struggle of college football together.
right. And we all had each other's backs, and it was always you needed help with something for 15 seconds. I'm jumping over there. Or I think I needed help like every single day, and I was always screaming for help. But everybody
Yes.
always came running, and so that was really special. You
Well,
know,
let me
one of my
let,
favorite
to
memories.
your to real quick to your audience. Let me tell the in the Huddle podcast that Kane White is one of the hardest working human beings I've ever met in my entire life. I've never
Thank you.
seen someone work as hard as that man right there did for the season he was with the Razorbacks.
Man, I appreciate that. I think I probably had to work a little bit harder because I was still learning every single day about college football. But and you're one of the just the best humans I ever met. I mean, it was man, you were always right there for me, and in anything that I needed. I mean, you weren't even had nothing to do with special teams, but you were always willing to help and drills and stuff. And man, just you became such a great friend, and you're special to me, man. So thank you, I appreciate it. I try to work hard. I try to be one of the hardest workers always. So. But and this, really, this is a testament to how special you are to me. And I've never shared this with you, and I haven't shared this with a few people, and so this is kind of a first time thing that everybody gets to hear this. One of my favorite memories that's kind of an off the field thing, even though it happened on the field. Your big day, one of the biggest days of your life. It was the day you were planning to propose to your beautiful wife now, Grace Ann. But it was also your first day signaling on the field.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
we played Ole Miss at home, and I never really got these moments because let me just paint this quick picture for you. We hop off the bus at home games. I had to go, and we're in our suits. I had to go on a mad dash down the stairs, get dressed, go up into the suite to recruit for a little bit, and then I had to get out and go watch the punters warm up. Well, it was drizzling that morning, and so
Yeah, I
nobody was
remember it. Yeah.
doing early warm ups. So I could slow down about 8 to 10 minutes. And so I got to go with everybody else on the field walk. Right when we get off the bus, you go walk the field in your
Yeah.
suit. That's the only day I really got to do that other than Texas A&M and Jerry World because I forced myself to do that. But on the way back towards the locker room, we were just walking side by side. And I asked you, man, are you nervous? And like, I think this is the most nervous I've ever been in my life. And we just had but that's a good thing, right? That's God telling you it's
Yeah,
time
oh,
to be the
yeah,
best.
yeah, yeah.
But man, we had heart to heart in that about 65-yard walk, and that was one of the favorite moments of my time there.
It was. I mean, I literally, I remember it 100% perfectly. And you kind of said it. I was going to propose after the game, win or loss, which we lost. But I was going to propose after the game, and then it just so happened that I had gotten thrown into live signaling, and so it was going to be the first game I had ever done that as a GA. As a GA, I was always in the box, and so they
Right.
had threw me down to the field to live signal. And man, like it was just I couldn't even like contain my body. I was so nervous. And I just remember walking that field and you came up to me and man, like I 100% in my heart believe this. Like you and me talking on that walk down the field, it really just it calmed me down because you had done it. You had proposed. Um, you had gone through the nervousness of a proposal, your first college football jitters. It was
Right.
things you had gone through, and you just really calmed me down. You're like, man, you just got to take it one step at a time.
That's right.
And it was awesome. It really was.
That was even though we lost, that was an A+ day. That was a good day.
It was. It was. I mean, now my wedding, but that day was the best day of my life. You know,
I love it, man.
and now that I'm married, July 19th is the best day of my life. But
There you go.
it really was, and there's to be honest with you, in 5 years, I'll forget a lot about that game, but I will never forget. Honestly, I won't forget our talk pregame, and I will not forget getting down on one knee. So it was a great day.
No doubt, man. No doubt. What a great story to finish it off. But we're not quite done just yet. I've started doing this new little segment towards the end of the podcast, a little rapid fire thing. So maybe a little bit off topic stuff, but something you got to think about. But I want whatever comes to your head first. You down?
Let's do it.
All right. Most talented player you've coached up until this point.
Ooh, I would say my last running back, Landon Chambers, man, just a great dude, uh, hard worker. He's now at the University of Central Florida, and wish nothing but the best
Awesome.
for him. I love the guy, and he's uber talented. I think he'll be a really good player for UCF.
Awesome. Be looking forward to seeing him on Saturdays in the fall. I'll try to keep up
Yes.
with him the best I can.
Yeah.
Favorite stadium you've ever coached in?
Uh, does Jerry's World count?
I think it has to, right?
Okay, we'll say Jerry's World. I mean, it's truly a breathtaking stadium. When you walk
Oh my
onto the field,
goodness.
it takes your breath away. On a college campus, LSU.
See, we didn't get to go to LSU that 24 season, and that man, I wanted to do that really bad. But I would agree with Jerry World, man. When you walk out of that tunnel, like you really have no idea how big it is until you're on the field. It is gigantic.
I mean, it looks like you can't describe it. It's one of the biggest buildings I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean,
No doubt, no doubt. When I remember looking up in like the 400 section or whatever, and the people are like ants from on the field, like it's quite literally insane. All right, most memorable game that you played in as a player, and then most memorable game that you've coached in as a coach.
well, let's do this. Let's start as a coach. In
Okay, let's do
2020,
it.
in 2021, the University of Arkansas played Texas. It was coming
Yes.
off of a COVID year. It was Sam Pittman's second year, and Texas was ranked coming into it. We had just beaten Rice, and it was a game that we had scheduled for an entire year. We were ready to play Texas, and man, you got to give it to Coach Odom, our defensive coordinator, Coach Bryles, our offensive coordinator. We had great game plans. The coaches did a good job. The players were fired up. And man, we just went out there, and to be honest with you, we just kind of got after them. We kind of dominated them.
Right.
And so, we win that game. Fans stormed the field. It was one of the best, feelings as a coach you can really have. And then as a player, probably my senior year, we played Fort Smith Southside. This will not be near as entertaining as the first game.
Now, are they the Rangers, or did I get the mascot right there? Or is that
Southside is the Mavericks now.
Close.
The Mavericks. And it was a game that actually went into overtime. And memorable for me because on fourth down, the quarterback ran the ball. I tackle him before he's into the end zone. We win the game, and everybody goes crazy. So I would say those two.
Conway High School must have printed off Will Kennedy for President shirts the next week.
No, absolutely not. I just right place at the right time.
No doubt. Sidebar, storming the field looks super cool on TV and everything, right? When you're already on the field and all those people start running out, kind of scary.
Extremely chaotic is the way I would. And the difficult part is, to be honest, it's like finding your family. Like,
yes,
what are the people I know that I want to go celebrate with? That's part of it.
No doubt. I felt that way after Tennessee. So, you're getting ready to coach in a big game. Favorite pregame song to get you hyped before you go out?
Oh gosh, I'm really not like I've never been this way where I'm just gonna sit there and listen to like hard hitting music. I'm more of just a country guy, man.
All right.
Even when I was a player, I'm not gonna go listen to a bunch of rap music. That doesn't fire me up. Music doesn't really get me going. So put a little Luke Combs on there. Maybe go a little older country, some 90s country like some Clint Black. And we're just going to ride on that bus into the stadium and get ready to go.
I love that answer. Let's go. Love it. All right, last one. Favorite thing to do on off days or off weekends?
Man, I love playing golf. I really do. I grew up playing golf. And so, that was, for me, golf is a way to just kind of escape your reality for 3.5 to 4 hours.
You're right. I've never thought about it that way. It is.
And there's really nothing for you to worry about. You kind of put your phone in the cart and you just go out there and enjoy nature and enjoy a pretty golf course. I'd probably say golf course, or if I'm lucky enough, go to the lake and get on a boat somewhere.
That's awesome. All right, follow up. Favorite golf course you've ever played?
In Destin, Florida, there's a golf course called Kelly Plantation. That's up there. So if you're ever in the Destin area, go there. And
I'm going right before the 4th of July.
Well, you need to go to Kelly Plantation, and then the other one. This is more Arkansas. In the summer of 2024, Coach Petrino actually invited me to go play Pinnacle in Rogers.
Oh, wow!
And that was it's a beautiful golf course. And so one of those two. Pinnacle was pretty cool.
Did you beat Coach Petrino? Last question.
Coach Petrino is a phenomenal golfer. Phenomenal. He beat me for 17 holes. It was an extremely hot day, and I think that he got to him a little bit toward the end. I nudged him out on the 18th green, but before that, he was beating me. So technically I won, but I think he's a better golfer.
Not only on the football field, but the golf course too. You heard it from Will Kennedy. Man, I can't thank you enough for spending, 38, 40 minutes with me. This is nothing, to what we are used to when we're together.
Yeah.
But thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the podcast. I learned stuff about you that I didn't know, even though we were together every single day for 10 months. And so that's the beautiful thing about these podcasts. You learn even about the people that you're close to, things you didn't know. So thank you so much, man. You mean so much to me. And I look forward to seeing you in a little over a month at our good buddy Trey
That's
Fitch's
right.
wedding.
Yeah. Well, Kane, you know this, man. You you became one of my best friends instantly. And so when you asked me to do something like this, it's a no-brainer. You're an amazing human. You're an amazing podcaster, and
I appreciate that.
yeah. I mean, you mean a lot to me as a friend. And I'm glad to join, man. I would do it anytime you call. I'll be here.
So this is episode 21. We might have to get you back for like episode 61. Sounds like a
There
plan.
we go. Give it 40 new guys and then bring me back.
I appreciate that, man. We'll figure it out, and looking forward to seeing you in a little over a month, and gonna try to come down to the Stripes and watch you coach for those Bears this fall.
Yeah, come on, come to the Stripes. I've kind of told everybody this. I think that we're doing some really good things. We did some good things in recruiting. Personally, as a running back room, we have a really good room. So it should be a fun year for the Bears.
Roll Bears, baby.
Oh, yeah. Roll Bears.
Episode 21 featuring my good friend Will Kennedy. We'll see you next time.